The Emirates NBA Cup, or formerly known as the in-season tournament, whichever you want to call it, it's a thing. Last year, despite the horrific-looking courts that somehow have come back this season, I thought it was a cool idea, executed in a manner that gave a little life into the early NBA regular season, but seemed like an afterthought once over. Even trying to mimic the theatrics of a true championship victory, the novelty of the event still seems to be void of any substance. What does an NBA Cup victory mean? A few extra dollars that will actually be meaningful for a few, but just chump change for others? A trophy that looks cool but has no significant value? A joke of a banner to hang for being good early in the season, as opposed to being able to run the gauntlet that is the NBA playoffs and beat the best in a series instead of a one-off night of play? Until Adam Silver and his faithful come up with some sort of added incentive to winning this instead of just more money to mostly overpaid athletes, there's a big question that looms. Even bigger this year, since there's no record book narrative for being the second NBA Cup winner like being the first last year. That big question is, do teams even care about participating or winning this makeshift event?
I don't care, he's old.
Is that extra game tacked on to the season really worth putting your best foot forward and adding a game to an already rigorous journey to 82? Well, I'll try to give my opinion on it and what incentive they could come up with to give it some actual life. But first, if you enjoy NBA breakdowns and analysis, please subscribe to the channel. We are working for that 2,000 sub mark and can't do it without you guys. Also, check out the GOATcast podcast, streaming live every week with guests and some wild takes. Thank you, and now let's get into this. So the group play games count towards the regular season. The winners of those groups who enter the knockout rounds will play quarterfinal games that count towards the regular season. The teams left will play in semifinals games that count towards the regular season, and a finals that doesn't count towards the regular season. I know that's a lot to retain. Either way, while the Cup only potentially tacks on one extra regular season game that doesn't count, the actual championship game, its only real perk as of right now is bragging rights. So is that enough for teams to care? If you look at the injury list for some of these teams, it looks like a solid fantasy league roster, with players dropping like flies and teams more focused on 100% recovery rates rather than letting guys just play mostly to preserve them for the postseason playoffs. Better known as load management, it doesn't work. Playoff caliber teams are going to be cautious with guys that have ailments or are coming back from serious injuries. As we've seen this season, Jaylen Brown has had some hip issues, and as the defending finals MVP is obviously important to the Boston Celtics' success now and moving forward. Should the Celtics try to add that banner to their collection as well and give up December 17th as a rest day to compete in the finals? In the same vein, a struggling team like the Milwaukee Bucks could reignite their season by claiming the NBA Cup, potentially breathing some life into a team that seems lifeless outside of the beast that is Giannis Antetokounmpo. I guess it's a double-edged sword however you look at it. On one side, it's a meaningless tournament that adds another game to the schedule, which is another game that could leave important players injured. On the other side, it's a thing that for certain teams and players could put the battery in their backs needed to springboard into the next phase of the season. I think certain teams, knowing what they know, are looking towards the future, not December. Yes, winning games that count is what teams are going to focus on, but prioritizing the NBA Cup group play is likely not going to happen until there's something more behind it. If a group play game comes on the end of a back-to-back, are any elite teams really going to want to play guys that are just coming back from injury or are listed day-to-day on their daily report? Are mediocre teams going to ramp it up just to fall back to mediocrity after it's over? Are tanking teams going to not tank to raise the coveted NBA Cup and then obviously return back to tanking? I can't answer those questions because it's really too new to have anything to go by. But common sense says teams are going to remain treating this like they've always treated the regular season, since these are realistically just regular season games with a small caveat. A caveat that has really no return in the grand scheme of things. Sorry, Adam Silver, it just doesn't add up. Outside of extra cash for the winning players, there has to be something that benefits the winning team. A few ideas I have to make it a little more important. Because it's way too early in the NBA season, providing a team with any reward of substance would be really hard and have to be well fleshed out. You can't guarantee a team a playoff spot because of how much season is left. Without coming up with something convoluted, with maybe something involving adding a draft pick or something money-wise, there's nothing that can be incentivized to teams that would really make a difference that they could realistically make sense. I've gone through a lot of possibilities in my mind, but nothing will even remotely make sense for Adam Silver to do without causing massive issues league-wide. One such example is having the two teams in the finals automatically get a play-in berth, something that also may not need to be a thing. But then teams that have no desire of being in the playoffs will likely lose games in the group play on purpose or get the automatic play-in berth and lose there on purpose. So if you guys can think of an incentive, hit me in the comments section. Now, from a player perspective, money is always good, but if I were Adam Silver, I would up the ante a little. Since the NBA Cup has special post-tournament awards like the MVP and all-tournament teams, why not guarantee a spot on the All-Star team for this? Not necessarily a starting spot, but since the all-tournament team, at least last year, only consisted of 5 players, that's a fairly small pool of players to get automatic bids. This could inspire some guys to ball out even more to make sure they get that honor that can sometimes be taken from them due to favoritism or biases. We saw last year how the NBA Cup put some eyeballs on Tyrese Halliburton and got his name in the spotlight. But even then, you have to tread lightly, because if by some chance lower-rung teams without many stars make it to the important rounds and we get a crew of players that get automatic bids that aren't quite star level, that could hurt the already plummeting All-Star game in a weekend, having spots taken from true superstars or guys that have earned it. So maybe that's not the best incentive, but one that could bring the best out of entire teams competing for those all-team slots. If you know of a better incentive for the players, let me know in the comment section below. Just thinking of possible incentives gave me a headache, mostly because the long NBA season hurts anything of value a team could truthfully get, especially from the fans' point of view. Why would we care that athletes that are already getting paid well will get more money while we will likely spend more in support? I just can't see the novelty of this gaining any momentum unless there's something truly added or the players and teams just magically want to put forth the effort to make it mean something. While I'm mildly excited for it, with all these injuries and how teams treat the regular season in certain games now, I can't say that I'm highly excited about it. With the viewership in free fall mode for the NBA, they need something, and I'm not sure this is the answer. The NBA Cup is a cool concept, but without a few changes, will just be games played on horrible looking courts that really make the games unwatchable. Please change that first, Adam. Either way, what do you guys think about the NBA Cup, and is there any way to make it actually have some type of meaning going forward? Let me know in the comment section below. If you made it this far, please like and subscribe to the channel. On the road to 2,000 subs, I can't do it without you guys. Thank you, and be back soon with more content.